So I think, when we talk about AI in cybersecurity, we talked a little bit about like where the future is going to be in EDR evasion. And I know this is something that you wanted to discuss on like, how easy it is to get around EDR. And some of the tools and techniques that you would use as you work. What are some of the tools and techniques that you use to get around EDR?
Yeah, so some of the techniques that I've actually used when doing my job were very rudimentary. I was able to get on a box, and I had local admin privileges on the box, so I could make whatever changes I wanted. So I was able to look at the EDR. It listed what host name it was actually connecting back to in order to tell on me. I didn't have a way to crash it at that point, so all I did was do a query for the DNS logs within the machine, found the IP addresses and everything, just so I could have a good idea of what was going on. And then I went into the host file of that machine and actually just pointed it to something that wasn't routable from there. I think they were on like a 10 dot network, and I pointed it to a 192 network.
The host file attack still works?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, some of these like really sophisticated things just can't get past the EDR, but if you go back to your known good, it works.
Yeah. So, I mean, if an attacker is determined to get in, they're going to figure out a way to bypass EDR. The one that, and we talked about this when we were downstairs. I was telling you about one of the attacks that we saw was they tried to reinstall the EDR. And so it kept crashing, and it kept fighting itself, trying to reinstall itself. And the attacker was able to work around that. And again, it came back to network monitoring because we just started seeing our clone data exfil, going out of the network. And we were like, didn't you have EDR? Yes, we did. And I remember when we were working this incident, because one of the sysadmin goes, "Well, it's a good EDR because it slowed them down."
It's like, yeah,
I don't think that's the way that's supposed to work. But yeah, I'm sure it slowed them down. But yeah, so EDR evasion is a thing that can happen for determined attackers.
Absolutely. I absolutely believe in the idea of a multi-layered defense, as any security person should. So your network monitoring is probably going to be the hardest to evade with good network monitoring. Looking at deep packet inspection, looking at the different host classifications that are being called to. And the EDR is absolutely trusted way too much in the industry.
This we know.
Yes. This same EDR, about a year later, I was still trying to work around it, and most of the time my living off the land techniques can work around it, which is a whole problem within itself.
Yeah.
But I eventually was able to create a little script that what it did was it created all these different processes that did absolutely nothing but hang in time.
Yeah.
And what that did is it ended up filling up the memory of the machine, and it would cause the EDR to crash. I don't know if that was a fail safe to keep the machine from crashing.
Right.
But the EDR itself would crash, and there was monitoring built into that program that looked through process IDs, saw this particular EDR, and when it saw the process end, it would quickly go to the installation directory and remove those service files. So when the service tried to start back up, those executables weren't there. So
you mentioned a little bit living off the land. Can you tell us what some of your magic is? Like, what do you like?
I really like Microsoft SQL servers, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't we all?
Oh, yeah.
1433 is a thing.
Oh, man. It gives up so much information. My absolute favorite thing when I find Microsoft SQL is being able to enumerate every user group and computer on the domain through UUID cycling. I mean, it's...
So explain a little bit about what that is, because... Yeah, we're We don't know that.
So there's specific functions within Microsoft SQL where it queries the domain controller for specific SID that exists, starting with 500 for your administrator account.
Yeah.
And then you go up to 1,000, I believe, for the first user, and then it just increments from there, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. And by querying those SIDs, it will actually return the domain username as the format domain/user. And so, Metasploit even has a module for it, and you just point it out there and you say, I think I want 9,000 records. And it'll just go from 1,000 to however many you put in there.
So just in its default state, you can get a lot of data just by querying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's just only one of the many attack vectors that exist within that.
And I may be wrong here, but the Microsoft SQL, that's running, like whenever you make a machine into an AD, like a domain controller, I'm pretty sure it starts the SQL service, right, on the back end, or am I wrong on that? Because isn't it using that basically to store all the users?
I would have to look that up,
Okay.
actually.
I'm probably wrong on that, but whenever you elevate that to a domain controller, the actual like users and computers portion, I thought that was being stored in like a Microsoft SQL on the back end, like that's what it's running. But again, I may be wrong.
Yeah. Another issue that I normally run into is that organizations love for Microsoft SQL to be running under the context of a domain user. So automatically you have a lot of issues there. It doesn't matter the password that you gave that user. The password that is protecting that Microsoft SQL instance, if it's weak, then that user is weak. And people like to use service accounts all the time for that, but those are very low monitored in the cases that I've seen.
Yeah.
Easy target.
They usually have controls that were good for an old policy. So as we go through time, password requirements are continuously going up from used to be 8 characters, now 32 characters.
Right.
It's pretty safe. And you'll see a Microsoft SQL instance that's been running since 2002.
Yeah.
And you jump on there, you get all the domain users, and someone's going to have a weak password.
Yeah, and obviously if it's a service account, then you've got the whole Kerberoasting side of things, and makes it very easy to exploit that.
So in your experience, when you get into a network, even as say it's just a low level user, how easy or difficult is it to move around in the network undetected and elevate your privs?